Hi, family. I want to share something with you really quickly. We have been talking over the past week about being obedient to God's instructions when it comes to relocating, when it comes to moving and being obedient to whatever instruction it is that He gives you, whatever He shows you to do. And I want to kind of dive into something that he shared with me when it comes to using your faith and trusting him in your relocating, what that looks like. So let me first say this. When it comes to being obedient, when God is telling you to do something, he's telling you, this is what I need you to do. As it relates to how it's going to happen, it's not your responsibility to figure out how. He has that all under control. So as you're walking out, whatever it is He's shown you to do, stop thinking about how it's going to get done. How you're going to either financially get there. You may be looking at your situation, your financial situation, and you're saying, okay, God is telling me to do this, but my bank account is saying I can't do it. Or you may be thinking about logistically, how am I going to get there? I mean, how am I going to, my car, I can't get it from here to there. It won't happen. How am I going to move all of my stuff? What am I going to do with my stuff? How am I going to sell my house? What am I going to do? When God gives us instructions, it can be natural to automatically think about your current situation and how you're going to plan and how things are going to work out in order for you to get to where God needs you to be. But God didn't ask us to try to figure it out. He asked us to trust Him and to use faith. And in trusting Him and using faith, it doesn't mean, okay, God, I trust you and I believe you can do it, God, but you're sitting there not doing anything, not moving, not taking steps toward what He's shown you. Go back to the video I shared with part of my testimony in my move to Texas. When God told me to move, I had no idea of how, when, what things were going to look like, what was on the other side. But because I trusted Him enough and I knew it was His voice that told me to move to Texas, I knew it was Him. He confirmed it. And because of that, I had to say, okay, God, you told me to do this, so you're going to provide for me. I didn't ask for this, but you are instructing me to do this. So because I'm being obedient to you, I know that means you're going to provide because you want me here. And once I did that, and I took a step of faith and went to Home Depot and started getting moving boxes and started packing up my home, even when I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know where. I didn't know the details, but I still took action and moved, and I put myself in a mindset of, oh yeah, I'm moving. I'm moving. God said I'm moving. I'm moving. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's not my responsibility to know that. He told me this is what He wants. So if that's what He wants, He's going to provide for me. And that's exactly what happened. And understand, when God gives you an instruction, He already has the provision. So you don't have to try to figure out, well, I need this, or I don't have that, or this doesn't line up, or this doesn't make sense, or if I do this, on the other side, they're not going to approve it, or they're not going to, I don't make the income, or I don't have the credit score, or I don't have backing from family, I don't have support. Whatever your situation is, stop thinking about that. Think about what God has instructed you to do. He's all you need. When you're obedient to Him and you're following His instructions, He already has it planned out. I want to take you to Philippians 4:19. And this is the New Living Translation. This is Paul speaking. And Paul says, and the same God who takes care of me will supply all your needs from his glorious riches, which have been given to us in Christ Jesus. Paul is saying, the God who supplies all of my needs, who gives me everything I need, who has all of the provisions, will supply your needs. So when God gives you instructions, when he's telling you to do something and you're obedient, he's going to provide. He's going to supply all, not some, not a few, all of your needs as you're obedient to him. You won't have to get to a point where you're asking others for money. And the scripture says, God who takes care of me. This is Paul speaking. God who takes care of me will supply all your needs. So God will supply all your needs. Not your followers will supply all of your needs. Not your church members will supply all of your needs. We have to get out of that mindset of going to people. And I've seen this, and I'm not judging, so don't take this as judgment. But I've seen where individuals who have channels are asking people for donations, for money, for funding. And this is just solely my opinion, okay? So let me again, this is only my opinion that I'm sharing. And I'm basing this off of Philippians 4:19. When it says, my God shall supply all your needs. You're not going to have to go to others and beg or ask for money. Because when God calls you to something, when he gives you instruction to move to whatever it is, whether it's relocating, whether it's starting a business, whether it's going into ministry, whatever instruction he's giving you, he's going to provide. It may be times where it looks like, uh-oh, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. But he always shows up. It might be in the 11th hour. It might be in the 12th hour. You might be in a situation where, okay, I have 1 hour left to get this done, or it's gone. And God shows up. It might be you have until midnight to make a decision. And at 11:58, God turns it around and he provides for you. That's the kind of God we serve. He is not going to let you walk out his plan and try to figure it out on your own. That's not the kind of God we serve. That's not who our Father is. He doesn't roll like that. When he gives you instruction, he already has the provisions made. Do you think he's going to send you out there for you to fail? No. Our Father loves us. He wants to see us succeed. He wants to see us happy. He wants to see us prosper. So he's not going to send you out and give you an instruction without being prepared, even from a provisional standpoint, financial, if you need a place to live, whatever it is. He's not going to send you out and give you instruction and you're left out there hanging for yourself. That's not how he works. So when it comes to being obedient to God, and that's why it's important to always listen to him. He may give you an instruction or show you something, but it's important to move in his timing, not out of your timing. God may give you an instruction. He may give you a vision. He may give you a dream. But that doesn't always mean that when he gives it to you right then that you need to move. And I think that's the problem sometimes when God gives us a vision, and I get it. You get excited when God gives you dreams, visions, and you're like, oh God, this is awesome. And we can start prematurely moving. And God is like, hold on. I didn't tell you to move. I didn't tell you to do that yet. You didn't go through steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just got the vision. You got the dream. And you just went to step 10. And God is like, hold on. There's a 1 through 9 in this process before you get to 10. And sometimes I think we can go from vision, dream, hearing from God, and then we jump over to 10, and we didn't do the steps in between. So when we get to 10, we've missed a whole learning, a time to learn and a time to prepare, because we got so excited and we didn't do things in God's timing. It's not that what you're doing is not what God has shown you, but sometimes it could be that you're not doing it in His timing. And as a result, you can find yourself in a place where you're struggling. You're having to figure it out yourself. And go back to Philippians 4:19. And my God shall supply all your needs. It didn't say you supply all your needs. It didn't say your followers supply all your needs. It didn't say those under your ministry follow your needs, supplies all your needs. It said God will supply all your needs. So when He does that, when you're walking in obedience, when you're in His perfect will and in His perfect timing, He's going to provide. I've seen it time and time again. And another thing is when it comes to provisions, you have to make sure when you're making a move, when you're relocating, when you're following an instruction, when you're doing something, make sure that it really is God. Because you can, in yourself, there can be something that you see or you want to accomplish that's good, but it's not God instructing you to do it. There's a difference. When God instructs you to do it, when that's a part of the plan that He has, and when He's instructing you and you're strategically walking out what He's shown you in His timing, He will supply every single need. You won't have to worry. When you get to a point where you find like you're trying to figure it out, or you have to try to plan, or you have to try to do something, and you see that it's like nothing is working. It just seems like everything is falling apart. That's when we have to go back and say, okay, God, am I on the right track? Is this what you have for me? And is this in your timing? And if not, show me what I need to do to get realigned back to what you have for me. It's okay if you fall off track. It's okay. When you're pursuing God and sometimes, you're all in and you're moving and you're doing, we're not perfect, and He doesn't expect that from us. But when we start to identify and see that things are kind of going left, what He does expect is that we come back to Him and say, okay, did I miss something? Where did I go wrong? Realign me with where you have for me to be at this time, and show me what you want me to do from here. So, provisions. God supplies. He supplies all of your needs. When you give Him your yes to whatever it is, when you're following His instructions and when you're being obedient, He supplies all your needs. And you will know when you're aligned with the plan He has for your life. You'll know when you're walking in that right path. And I'm not saying that everything is going to be easy. I'm not saying you're not going to go through stuff even when you're properly aligned, because remember that our foe, the enemy, is always going to try to come up against you and try to bring stuff against you. He's going to try to stop you. That's just part of it. But the thing is, when you know that you're properly aligned with God's plan, even though the enemy may try to come in and do things, God always turns it around for your good. He gives you favor. You see things where you're like, hold on, God, how did this even happen? You will see favor from people where they will want to give you stuff for free. And I don't mean like little small stuff. They will want to do things for you. And you're like, well, where did that come from? How did that happen? And I'll give you an example. And, every single thing that God does for me, it just blows my mind, and it elevates my faith to another level, because I'm like, God, you're just awesome. And I already said years ago, back in 2019, that was my turnaround point. And I told God, I will never go back to what I was. Never. Because you showed up for me. And it's like, every time there's an elevation where it's like, God, when I say I'm all in and I'm sold out, I'm not going back to the old. I've seen what God does. I've seen how he works when you're looking at your situation and you're like, okay, I'm down to the wire. What am I going to do? And God shows up. He shows up. And not only does he show up with the bare minimum, God gives you more than you can ask or think. You may be thinking one thing, and God is like, oh no, I have something much better for you. But I'll give you just a small example. I went to get my car inspected this week. The car passed inspection, of course, but I had like a signal light, like the rear signal light out. So I went to my normal people and that's a God connection right there. When we moved to Texas, and this is why I say in everything, you look at even the small things, how God connects you to certain people. And when we moved here, God connected us to this certain mechanic. It's a family, and they are awesome. When I tell you, when I go, it's like going to family. They take care of my car. All I can say is they are amazing. And I went to get my car inspected, and we were talking after the car was inspected, and I'm taking my wallet out, and they're like, oh, your keys are in your car. So I'm like, oh, okay. So we start talking a couple of more minutes, and I was like, okay, well, how much do I owe you? And they said, you don't owe us anything. You owe us nothing. And I'm like, well, hold on. I have to pay the light and the inspection. You don't owe me anything. You owe us nothing. Go. You're good. When you know you're on the right path, God will send people to bless you in unexpected ways. Unexpected ways. Doors will open so quickly. This week I was waiting on something to happen, and it was at like, I had less than 24 hours. And all I could do was praise God, because I said, and this was God began to share with me, have I ever let you down? And people think even in ministry and when you have a relationship with God that you don't go through stuff. You do go through stuff. But when you go through it, you know who to turn to in your times of the unknown, of not knowing what's next, what's going to happen. And God shared with me, have I ever let you down? And at that point, now less than 24 hours left for me to make this decision. And I'm like, God, no, you've never let me down. And all I could do was laugh and praise and just thank God. It was like there was no care in the world. I'm like, God, whatever, your will be done. Just let your will be done. And I was joyous. I was happy. My kids were like, okay, Mom. And it's like, okay, what else am I going to do? Because my daddy hasn't failed me. All my life, he's never failed me. And I know he's not going to do it now. He is not going to fail me. He got this. And when I tell you, he caused things to happen so fast. Within like a 12-hour span. where everything panned out. And this doesn't normally happen in this situation. It's normally 72 hours before something happens in the situation I was in. But what normally takes 72 hours took 12 hours. And everything was good. That's why I say, Philippians 4:19, God supplies all your needs when you're obedient to him and you're walking in his perfect will and in his perfect timing. He's going to provide. You will not have to be concerned with how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who's going to do it. And you won't have to go begging for money or requesting or asking people for money to do things for, to pay your bills, because God supplies all your needs. And again, this is not judgment, but understand God supplies your needs. Go back and read Philippians 4:19. God supplies your needs. Now, he will use people because, we're on this earth, so he will use people to fulfill that need, but you won't have to go requesting or asking or begging. Can you? No, God supplies it. So understand that when you're walking in obedience and you're walking in God's perfect will and in his perfect timing, he's going to provide. You won't have to want for anything because, like Paul says, God supplies all of your needs. So I wanted to share this with you. I know this past week, we've been talking about relocating, and whether or not you're relocating, whether or not you're stepping out and you're being obedient to whatever it is God is telling you. If it's, like I said, ministry, starting a new business, new career, whatever it is God is telling you to step out and make a big jump, a leap of faith. When you're obedient and you're doing it in his timing, he's going to provide. So don't even be concerned with the how, the when, the what, the unknown on the other side, because God already has it under control. So I wanted to share this with you, family. And I love you all. And until next chat, be blessed.